Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Future Stars Live on Hidayat TV. Our topic today is we're continuing with the Tawheed series, and this is the third part, and we're talking about the outer way of knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is just talking about the outer way, meaning the universe around us, this planet and the rest of the animal life here, and just things besides us, our instincts inside, just to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understand His presence, that He's actually here with us. So I'll start off by introducing my guests.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Mohsin.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Misbah.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Hussain.
Thank you for that introduction, and like we do on every show, Misbah is going to read the surah and Mohsin is going to read the translation. So can we start them off with a loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjuhum.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Al-Qariya, Mal-Qariya, wa ma adraka mal-Qariya. Yawma yakunu an-nasu kal-farashil mabthuth, wa takunu al-jibalu kal-ehni al-manfush. فأما من ثقلت موازينه فعيشة راضية وأما من خفت موازينه فأمه هاوية وما أدراك ما هي نار حامية صدق الله العلي العظيم.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. The day of noise and clamour. What is the day of noise and clamour? And what will explain to see what the day of noise and clamour is? It is a day whereon men will be like moths scattered about, and the mountains will be like carded wool. And then he whose balance of good deeds will be found heavily will live a good and pleasure and satisfaction life. But whose balance of good deeds will be found light will have a home in a bottomless pit. And what will explain to thee what this is? It is a blazing fire fiercely.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjuhum. Thank you for that. And remember, whenever you are reading surah, make sure you read the translation as well, so you know the history behind it and also how you can implement it into your life. So we continue with this Tawheed series. This is our second part now, and today we're going to be focusing on how we're going to be talking about this ayah and how the order of the universe and how this can prove how can this prove the wisdom of a creator, that there is a creator, if you understand what I mean. So before we actually start, can we have a salawat in honor of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjuhum. In second, in honor of our holy first Imam Ali alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjuhum. And third, with our loudest voices, in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjuhum. And can we have another last salawat to start Mohsin off? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjuhum.
The outer way of knowing God is by looking at the world around us. We first ask the question, who has created life? Then we think over the wonderful ways in which everything has been created. If we see there is a beauty, order, wisdom and knowledge in the creation of things, we know that the being who created them also has these qualities. An ignorant being that does not have good qualities could not have given these qualities to the things it creates. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajum. Thank you for that, Mohsin. So Mohsin was mentioning there a few things, qualities of this universe. Yeah, and Mohsin, I give you one. He said beauty, didn't he? And what other ones did he mention?
Wisdom.
Wisdom, yes. And
Knowledge.
not knowledge, because the universe isn't conscious, is it? So let me give you an example. Night and day. What is that an example of?
Bad and good.
Good and
No, not bad and good. Night and day, the cycle of night and day. So it keeps going in that.
Order.
Yes, order. So he mentioned beauty, he mentioned wisdom, and he mentioned order to describe the universe. And these qualities have to be in the creator to be given. Wouldn't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about that today, the wisdom of the creator and how he put this wisdom from himself into it, yeah, and how that actually proves the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the existence of God. So Misbah is actually gonna do the next part. So can we start, Misbah? Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Human beings often walk through life blindly. They see with their eyes but do not think about what they see. That is why in the Quran, Allah often invites us to think about His signs that are present in the world. One example is the following ayah of the Quran. Most surely in the creation of the heavens and earth, and the alteration of the night and day, there are signs for men who understand. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, worship of Allah is not a lot of prayers performed without meaning, but real worship is thinking of the signs of Allah. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajum. Thank you, Misbah. So Misbah mentioned that ayah there that we're going to be elaborating on and talking about today. So what did the ayah mention? Can you remember? We're saying if you can go back on it and say it again.
The whole thing, do you want?
Yeah. Just the ayah.
Most surely in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alteration of the night and the day, there are signs for men who understand.
Yeah, so he's saying from this creation that he's made, yeah, and he mentions night and day. You know the example that I gave before. He mentions night and day there as well, and he mentions from the creation that he's made and from the alteration from night and day. These are signs for a creator. These are signs for him. These are signs for the creator, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says alteration between night and day. What is alteration? What is that alteration? It's all
change it.
It's all
Order.
Yes, order, isn't it? Yeah. So he's saying by the creation that he's made and by the order that he's given it to, and by you know how all these planets orbiting orbiting the stars, and there's other planets obviously, and they're orbiting other stars. It's not only us, isn't it?
Yeah.
And not only this planet, but there's so many other planets, and us, we are orbiting the sun, the moon is orbiting Earth, yeah, and all of this this order that's given to the creation of the of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's saying these are all signs of there being a creator, because how can order just come from nothing? Yeah, even if let's say the universe has come from nothing, let's say that, even though we believe it doesn't, yeah, how can order come to it? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Miss Beth. Hussein, you're going on the next thing, so can we start Hussein off with the loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjuhum.
Imam as-Sadiq talks to an atheist. Once an atheist came to the sixth Imam and asked him to help him believe in God. Imam asked him to take a seat. Then a child arrived with an egg in his hand. Imam took the egg from him and said to the atheist, "Here is a mysterious fortress enclosed within a hard shell, underneath which is a fine wrapping which covers molten silver, the album, the white part of the egg, and some molten gold, the yolk. The gold part does not mix with the molten silver, although both are semi-fluids and should mix when shaken. They keep their separate states. No artist comes out of it to say that he has made any changes, nor it is known whether it is designed to produce a male or female. Birds of various colors come from it. Do you think it has a designer who has painted all this inside it? And how did the chick come out? Who designed all these various shades, the feathers, the limbs, the feet, the beak, the wings, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the bowels, the crops, the joints, etc.? Seeing that no artist entered it, the atheist was amazed and had no answer. So what?
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Thank you, Saint. So Hussein was mentioning a story there, and the Imam Jafar as-Sadiq, wasn't it? Yeah, alayhi salam. He was giving an example from what we can see around us to prove the existence of the Creator, prove the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so he what did he mention there? That he used to prove.
He got an egg, and he explained like there was like a silver bit and there was like a gold bit, and
meaning the white part of the egg and the yolk of the egg,
and that they don't mix together. And then he said birds come out of it, and do you think like it's an artist that did that?
Yeah, so he's just mentioning how from that can come loads of different variations and loads of different things, and how can't there be a designer behind it, isn't it? Yeah. So the Imam was something that was around us. Yeah, the Imam used that example to show us and give us an idea of how a creator could be there because of that. Yeah. Can any of you think of an example like that? So it can be an everyday object, or something around us in this universe, or something like that. And if you think about other things that we've talked about on today on the Tawheed theory, you can use them as well. What thing?
The spindle.
Yeah, the spindle. Yeah, that's a really good example.
And then the painting.
Explain the spindle thing first, and then we'll go on the painting thing.
The spindle thing is how so there's a person who's spinning the wool, and then she stops, and then the spindle stops, and then that's just showing how so the universe is a spindle, and it needs someone to operate it to have it working and in order. So then it was just showing how the spindle needs a creator, so does the universe.
Yeah, and that's why. So he used he were making comparison between the wheel, the spindle thing, and the universe. So which is more complex, the spindle or the universe?
Universe.
Yeah, and if the spindle needs someone to operate it, yeah, something as complex as universe, yeah, shouldn't it be? It would be logical for it to be operated as well by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So thank you, Saint. So Miss Beck, Hussein mentioned the painting one. Do you remember that?
It was like a cause and effect.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you're thinking of something else. Mohsin, do you remember the painting one? And this was to do with our instincts as well. I think this was the inner way that we were talking about. It was a painting, and you know by yourself. Yeah, I think Mohsin's got it.
I think I know.
Is it the one where a man painted a painting, and nobody knew who the artist was.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to know. You didn't have to know who created it, but you didn't have to know like that something has created it.
Yeah. So
It's like a video game or basically anything, like you need like for an advanced painting or advanced video game, something like that, you always need someone to create it for it to be here. So then that's just an example of showing how because of the painting you instantly think how someone created it. You don't know the name or whatever.
So that's a really good example as well, because just to speak more on that point, if there was a painting, and the person who's looking at that painting would know that without a doubt someone has created it, because look, it's there, isn't it? So we need to apply that to the universe as well. It's there and must have been created, like everything else in this universe. It has been what? Created.
And there's another example of how an animal pass, like, so somebody's going through a forest and they see a footprint bigger than their own on the floor, and instantly they would think that, oh, another animal has passed through the same route, and so they haven't seen the animal, heard the animal, or have no idea of what the animal looks like, but they know an animal has passed through here for there to be a footprint, and that's just showing.
Yes, so that's just using simple logic to prove the existence of God. Yeah. So thank you for that. And Misbah, you've got the next thing. So and Misbah, you're gonna what would you be talking about?
The human brain.
Yeah, and we're gonna be using using that to like prove the wisdom and knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how a creator must have been involved in that. So let's start, Mr. After the loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajhum.
The human brain, our skull, is filled with great matter called the brain. This brain is the most important part of our system because it commands all the powers of our body and manages all the organs of our system. The cerebrum is the cerebrum in the brain is one of the most sensitive areas of our body and is responsible for the willpower, consciousness and memory. Many of the reactions that take place in our body are from the cerebrum. If we remove the cerebrum from a place, from an animal and leave the other organs intact, they will remain alive, but its understanding and consciousness will be eliminated. If the memory of the human being were taken away even for a little while, he would be in great trouble. The center of a memory forms a small part of our brain where the memories of a lifetime are stored. Everybody that we know, along with the particularities of a person regarding size, form, color, character, etc., are stored in an area in the memory. The moment we see that person, our mind stores in an area in the memory. Our mind removes the file of that person, reveals that we know about him, and commands us to react accordingly. If it is a friend, it commands us to show the signs of affection and cordiality, and we feel happy. All this is done so fast that there is no passage of time in between. Imagine if we had to store all of this information outside of ourselves. If we had to make a recording of all we know about someone, or to make a file on a computer for each person we know, every time we met someone, we would have to seek out this file from our hard disk. The more people you know, the more files you'd have. Read the information and then react. The same thing would apply to every action we have to carry out in life. We would record how to do it and then look it up every time we want to do it. Living in this world would become too complicated to bear. It is a wise and knowledgeable Creator who has saved us from all this and equipped us with a system which can do it faster than we can think about it. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Thank you, Mister. So, what are you talking about? This for some people who might not understand what you were kind of explaining. Can you like simplify it or something?
The cerebrum part of our brain, it gives like all the memories and willpower.
So like the free will.
So if we like, for example, met a friend, it will like react instantly.
Yeah.
So it basically is, when you see something, you would identify what it is first of all, and then when you see it again, it would have already been stored in that place, so you automatically recognize that thing. And say that thing was a friend or a person that you knew and you're friendly with, you would react a certain way to what type of person it is. So if it's your friend, then you would be happy and you would enjoy their company.
Yeah. So thank you. So how does this how could we use this like prove there's a designer? Because obviously this thing has been designed in a way so it can be used like that, isn't it?
Yes. So like it was also talking about towards the end, saying how like the brain identifies like what you're doing, and so but your brain does everything like so quickly, like you can just move your hand like that and the brain would automatically like make your hand move. So like it's, and because it does it like that quickly, and for you to identify every single step and to put it in like a sort of hard drive or computer or disk or whatever, it's basically really complex, right? So then how your brain does it like that, and so it's hard to think that your brain wasn't designed, it was just by chance it was made. So like that's how you know there is a designer, because your brain cannot be just by chance to be able to do all this stuff.
And people might say of that this has been designed by what would some atheists say? That our brain has been designed by that because of what? What is that word? It's beginning with E. Can any of it?
Evolution.
Yeah, evolution. Yeah. So they might say that it's because of this. It's been designed in that way, and just think about the parts of your brain and how they are designed in that way. They're designed, aren't they? And atheists would say because of, like we said, evolution, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we can say back to that is, does that have actually a consciousness? Does it?
Yeah.
No. Evolution being a thing, and you just look at the parts of your brain, and it's been designed in that way, hasn't it? Yeah. Something with a consciousness, yeah, must be behind that to design it in that way, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how can that be possible when does evolution have a consciousness? Does it? No, it doesn't. And and how can something be behind that so complex, and that thing doesn't even have a consciousness? Yeah. And even if the whole of the human race came together, yeah. If the whole of the human race came together, they wouldn't be able to even make a fly. Yeah, and how and human brain, the humans have consciousness, doesn't it? Yeah, and evolution, a thing that doesn't have consciousness. Yeah, I think that that is supposed to just that has so many flaws, and I think we'll do one show on this, because we can explain the flaws that it actually has. When people actually try to prove evolution, and I think we'll do a show on that, because it's really important to know this kind of stuff. So if atheist actually comes up to you and tries to mention that, so we can actually refute it. Yeah. So so something that complex, being the brain, and them saying it's been designed by evolution is quite impractical to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Misbah, who was bringing that idea into perspective by mentioning the human brain. So Hussein, you've got the next thing. So can we start Hussein off with the loud salawat?
Allah
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Wisdom in the animal life. Animal wisdom is a wonderful sign that shows the existence of a wise creator. The workings of many animals that work instinctively is a brilliant testimony to the wisdom of God. Scientists have discovered that the beehive is a large, amazing center where a great effort occurs. In one honey town, there are about 120,000 firm hexagonal houses built by the architect bees. At the center of these houses is the royal palace that is the seat of the queen bee that produces 2 million infants a year. Around the palace stand spalded buildings that are the residence of the princesses. There are special houses for the care of the infant bees. Wide streets have been built in every direction, and air conditioning can also be seen in the hives. All the bees work together in various roles, such as guards, workers, engineers, and cleaners to produce honey, to train the next generation, and to continue life. They do not stop until they die. The salmon is another great example of animal wisdom. The young salmon spends years at sea, then comes back to his own river and travels up the very side of the river from which flows the tributary where he was born. If he is removed from that tributary, he will at once change his direction and go back to the mainstream to return to his own tributary. Even more amazing are the eels. The eels migrate at maturity from all ponds and rivers to the deep waters of the Bermuda. There they breed and die. The little ones, with no one to guide them, find their way back to the same river and ponds from where their parents came. Eels from Europe return to Europe, while those eels from America go back to America. Although the babies of both types of eels were born in Bermuda, added to all that, the European eel who has traveled more than the American eel is slower to mature, so that it is not too old by the time it reaches its home. A wasp will overpower a grasshopper, dig a hole in the earth and sting the grasshopper in exactly the right place so it does not die but is unconscious. The wasp will lay her eggs so that her children can feed on the insect without eating dead meat. The mother then flies away and dies. She never sees her young. This procedure is then repeated again and again for every new wasp to come onto the face of the earth. Such mysterious ways when animals and insects function just on their insect cannot be explained by accident or adaptation. A great creator who knew exactly what each living thing would need to survive on the earth has bestowed these qualities. This is why the Quran says, everything in the heaven and the earth glorifies Allah. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Thank you, Hussein. So Hussein there was talking about animal wisdom and the wisdom that animals have. And I want one of you, or maybe two, or all of you, just to mention one of the wisdoms that were Hussein mentioned there about the animals. Yeah, and tell me how does that how does that actually prove Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because he mentions an ayah at the end saying that every creation on the in the heaven and the earth glorifies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So can you explain that? So one of you mention one of the examples that actually Hussein gave with the animals. So Hussein, if you can start to show it to them.
the wasp and the grasshopper. So the wasp would would sting the grasshopper at the right place, not just any random place, the right place, so that it's not dead but it is unconscious, and then it would lay its eggs, so its young could be born, and then the young would feed off the not dead animal but feed off the unconscious animal, and then she would go away and she would die, and then so she would never see her young, but that would keep on happening, so like that system would keep on going on, so that they can stay alive.
So that order, like we go to the back to the first ayah that we mentioned, saying that the alteration between night and day, the order of this universe is what proof for the existence of a creator, and we can use that, meaning the order of the animal's wisdom, and how they how it cannot be through evolution, or evolution being that how can it come from like an unconscious thing, and most importantly, like you know the thing with evolution, how like it's a process between like that one animal takes, and then he breeds, and then it goes to all the other animals. Okay, let's put this in context, in like in real life situation. So at one point, that means if evolution was real, at one point in time someone changed a human changed their change their eating habits, and they need and let's say now they started eating peanuts, they started eating peanuts now, and now the stomach in the belly, and this evolution decides, oh, now I need to put acid in my stomach, I need to put acid in my stomach now, and so and if because he needs to break down these peanuts now, and he needs to put the right acid, the right pH level in his stomach, and this happens from I don't know how they get this acid, but for, it gets put into the stomach of the human being. But what protects the stomach from burning from the acid? What protects? Come on, we've got a little bit of science skills in here, so I think we're saying I know. So you know, in your stomach you got acid, what is protecting your stomach?
I don't know what that's called.
You don't know
There's a layer.
It's mucus, stomach lining of mucus, to protect the stomach from burning from the acid that's inside our stomachs, and actually what happens is that now the stomach has got this acid in. I don't know where the acid has come from. Let's just think that this acid has came into our stomach, wouldn't it be that now the stomach would burn, wouldn't it, because it doesn't have that lining, but then what would happen, that person would die, wouldn't it, and he wouldn't be able to pass on that knowledge to his kids, because he wouldn't have any children, because he would have died, wouldn't he? So that's one of the flaws with evolution, is that actually the passing on of genes would not happen, because as soon as a change occurs, let's even think if a change can occur, even if a change occurs, the creature would die from using that change, and actually as Muslims we don't believe in evolution, like changing of species, we do believe in adaptation though. Do you know what that is? So like if it was someone to go into a hot environment, and they have hair on their legs, on their arms, that hair would go, wouldn't it?
Because they're like, we need some Because like when they first calls, they won't change automatically. They'll need like time and time for it to finally get used to it.
Let's say they had hair on their hands, that hair would go, wouldn't it? That hair would go. But were they changing species? No. So we believe in adaptation in that way, but in a way of changing species, as Muslims we don't believe that. So we were talking about today, the wisdom of Allah's creation and how that actually proves the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we've gone over that today, haven't we? And can each one of you mention what we talked about today? So most of you mention one bit, Misbah you mention one bit, and then Hussein he will mention one bit, and then we'll end it there. All right. So Mohsin, can we start off with you? So what were we talking about at the beginning?
We were talking about the order and like how it needs to go. For example, like night and day needs to go in the same order.
And that was in the ayah of the Quran, wasn't it? And what did the ayah mention?
It mentioned
especially the last bit of the ayah.
There are signs for men to
so the creation and the order of this universe is a sign for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a sign for the creator that there must have been a creator. So this order and this creation of the whole universe is a sign for Allah, because there must be something that has to design something like that, and without consciousness wouldn't be able to do that, wouldn't it? So Misbah, if you want to add anything.
We mentioned about like for example the egg. There has to be like a creator, like a designer who did the
function of the egg.
The function of it.
So, and Hussein, if you want to say anything now.
The human brain.
The human brain, and what about that?
How it's so complex, and its complexity cannot just be could not just came on this earth by chance. It had to be designed. And
the way it performs, the way it runs, looks like it has been designed. But we have mentioned here how it cannot be designed by evolution, because one thing, evolution doesn't have consciousness, and two, that when a change occurs in that in that creature, they would die from it, wouldn't it? Because the errors that it would the errors that would happen in it. So hope you have learnt a lot today. And I hope people are, as well as her has learnt a lot today about this, and could from this whole Tawheed series that we were talking about, I hope it answers some of your questions that people might come up to and ask about, especially when you believe in a God, and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can use these things to explain and show them what
the existence of
the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So and one last thing that we have to remember, that I actually do mention in every one of these episodes of Tawheed series, they can't disprove the existence of God, can they?
Nope.
And from their side, we can't prove the existence of God. But what we can do is bring our reasons why, and they bring their reasons why, and then we add up together and see which one is more
likely to be right.
Likely to be right, or logical, and we have to use that, and so remember, use these points that we mentioned throughout this Tawheed series to prove the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So hope you've learned a lot today, and we're going to see you next week, and we might be continuing with this story series, or we're going to be talking about another personality next week. So we'll see you next time, same place on Hidayat TV. But until then, good Hafiz.